And welcome. This is Tiny Big Moments, a podcast about the tiny moments in early childhood that teach us big lessons. I'm your host, Cindy Gray. I'm a senior program coordinator here at ParentCorps, an evidence-based early childhood program housed at NYU Langone. At ParentCorps, you'll hear a certain phrase uttered over and over again.
To create safe, nurturing, and predictable environments for children to
create a more safe, nurturing, and predictable classroom.
In a safe, nurturing, and predictable home, children feel supported.
Safe, nurturing, and predictable, or SNP, is a bit of a catchphrase for ParentCorps. The framework is so central to our program that it's embedded in everything that we do. But what does it mean exactly? These environments are emotionally responsive in some ways that we can easily observe. The kids are engaged in nurturing back and forth interactions with caregivers, soothing their nervous systems, and protecting their developing brains and bodies from the impacts of stress. Imagine solid routines, clear instructions, and language around big feelings. There's warm, close teacher-student relationships. They're also emotionally responsive in ways that are less tangible. In general, you know it when you feel it. Today, we want to take you inside a classroom we feel brings safe, nurturing, and predictable to life. All thanks to a special teaching team at PS17 in New York City that I've worked with for several years. PS17 in Astoria, Queens happens to be my neighborhood elementary school. I love walking past the murals on the building with flags from dozens of countries, representing the incredible diversity of the neighborhood and the school. If I'm early enough to make the morning announcements, I get to hear the principal remind the entire school, and remember PS17, we love you. In most early childhood classrooms, you'll find 2 or 3 teachers at all times. They're sitting on the rug, playing at centers, or keeping peace on the playground. The way teaching teams come together is often random, with leaders assigning educators to classrooms based on factors like licenses, classroom experience, what the school needs, etc. So when a teaching team happens to make a perfect match, it's like striking gold.
My name is Alvarado. I am really working here at the P17Q, and I am a teacher assistant, and I am working with pre-K. And I'm so happy to work here in this environment. I love them.
My name is Bermeo, and I'm the lead teacher in general ed pre-K classroom.
Ms. Bermeo and Ms. Alvarado have worked together for 3 years. In the beginning, Ms. Bermeo was a new teacher, while Ms. Alvarado was more seasoned. Ms. Bermeo was eager to put her new teaching skills to the test, while Ms. Alvarado sometimes pushed back, gently asking if she could try things her way. Eventually, Ms. Alvarado's kind approach and infectious smile won Ms. Bermeo over. Over the years, they've learned to value each other's strengths and differences and work through difficult moments together. They also learned that they're from the same place.
We found out we were from Ecuador. Mm-hmm. However, she's from the mountains, the very cold part of Ecuador, and I'm from the very hot side of Ecuador. So it's very different, even though we are from the same country. Most of the people from the mountains, they love bread, and most of the people from the beach, they love our plantains, and we love everything, fish, seafood. I'm not quite sure if she's into it, but I know she's like all about bread, and I'm all about plantain. So
yeah, bread. I love bread, but yeah, Miss Bermeo comes from.
It's so funny.
All right. So yeah, Miss Bermeo comes from a very very hot city, and I'm coming from very cold city.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good balance also to
we bring the differences in our culture together. Yeah. And I also think that we have the same values in that sense, because I was raised there up to a certain age.
One of the first values that my parents really teach me is to have a good discipline. Yeah, and I think we have a good discipline here with our kids. They really know the rules here, and we are very consistent and persistent with everything that we do.
Consistent but loving.
Ms. Bermeo and Ms. Alvarado implement Friend School, ParentCorps' social emotional learning program, in their classroom. In coaching teachers who implement Friend School, we encourage teachers to reflect on their own identity and experiences and how it might impact their classroom. Both Ms. Bermeo and Ms. Alvarado immigrated to the United States as children, Ms. Bermeo at 9 and Ms. Alvarado at 16. It's an experience that deeply informs their teaching practices.
I personally can relate. I really had a very hard time in this country when I first came here. It wasn't as welcoming as I thought. It was the first time that I felt like I wasn't really wanted.
That's Ms. Bermeo.
And when I got to this country, all of a sudden I was looked down on. I had long hair. I would come home with a lot of gum in my hair. I would get pulled down by my hair. Sometimes they would cut my hair. So it was really, really traumatizing. I really just wanted to leave. But my parents didn't want to let me go back to my country, so I had to stay. I had no choice.
On top of the bullying from her classmates, Ms. Bermeo's teachers weren't very welcoming either.
Oh yes, my 5th grade teacher, when I got to this country, I was put in a regular school because it did not have bilingual classes, or it didn't have any Spanish-speaking teacher. So I was basically thrown in the back with other Spanish-speaking students, and I really felt left out because the academics, I wasn't really doing what everybody else was doing. I was cutting and pasting and just learning vocabulary, very simple vocabulary, like for English.
Miss Alvarado was older when she arrived to the United States, but the feeling of not belonging followed her too.
I was almost like 17 years old when I came here. So yeah, it was a little bit hard at the beginning when I came here because especially the language. So when I was like trying to, let's say, like going to the supermarket, I feel uncomfortable because I was not really talking in English. I was not really trying to speak with the people. I feel like in a corner.
Ms. Bermeo and Ms. Alvarado hold these experiences close today when working with immigrant children and families, many of whom are newly arrived to this country. As Ms. Alvarado explained,
we are working together with really, make them feel when the kids come here, make them feel like part of our lives, that they had to really, feel comfortable, make them feel comfortable in the classroom, and give a nice welcome. And also the same thing with the parents. I think the most important thing is for me is to have a communication with the parents. Like no matter what, my responsibility as a teacher, as an assistant teacher, is like let them know everything about the child, how they was behaving, what they have, what they was learning, how was the favorite day, and I think. This is great because the parents feel like super happy to see oh yeah, they did it, and also they feel happy when they find new things about that this probably doesn't happen at home. They happen here.
Ms. Bermeo takes a similar approach.
Every little thing that you could think of that an immigrant might go through, I went through. So just because of the way I dressed, because of the way I looked, because I couldn't speak the language. So when I think about that and I bring it back to my classroom, when immigrants come to my classroom, like the migrants that are coming in, I want them to feel welcomed. I want them to feel safe.
There's a lot of research that explains how when children feel like they belong, it not only boosts their confidence, but it also makes it easier for them to learn. Culturally responsive classrooms and school environments are key. They're places where children and families are invited to bring their whole selves, where they see themselves reflected in the curriculum, on the classroom walls, and in assignments. Research shows that when children are able to relate new information to their own thoughts, experiences, and feelings, it's more likely to be encoded deeply and retrieved more effectively later. This is called the self-referencing effect. Researcher and author Dr. Shauna Knox describes this as, quote, the brain's way of making sense of the world around you. When a child connects new information to their own identity or experience, it activates the medial prefrontal cortex, where the memory, decision-making, and higher-order thinking live. When young children are given information that has nothing to do with their own experience, it becomes much more difficult to retain. I think about this moment where I was teaching preschool in Southern California. I was a very young teacher from Virginia, and I taught my students all about the 4 seasons. And it was like I was on autopilot. I taught them about the season of winter, a season they had never experienced. They readily identified swimsuits, sunglasses, a pail and shovel, but when I showed them pictures of a sled or skis or gloves, all that got me were wide-eyed stares. For Miss Bermeo, school wasn't all bad. Everything changed her second year here when she met her new teacher.
She was my bilingual teacher in 6th grade, and actually in the same neighborhood in Astoria in 126, IS 126. She told me I could do it, I can learn the language. I felt like she got me in the sense that, don't worry, you're going to get it. And I did get my dual language license because of her, because I would like to help children that don't speak the language as well feel welcomed and nurtured and comfortable when they go into the classroom just the same way.
So how does this all come to life in a classroom? There's one student in particular whose story stands out. Miss Alvarado refers to him as our friend or my friend here.
When he first got here, he was very mad about everything, upset about everything. And I will never forget, like, the shift that he had from the beginning of the year until the end of the year. It was such a big change that you would never think it was the same child. And I think it had a lot to do with the love that he received, the attention that he received, with a lot of praise. And just, I think we learned from each other because it was working as a team, you know. At first, I was a little scared. I think it was my first year.
Yeah, your first year.
It was my first year. I've never
year.
dealt with a child that tiny, just taking a chair and throwing it across. So Miss A had a lot of experience. So as you can, my face was just puzzled. Like, I really had no idea what to do. So here comes Miss A, the savior. And she knew exactly what to do, you know. She came up to him. She was very firm, very direct, but at the same time loving.
Yeah, that was a big adventure that we had with our friend. Yeah, as soon as, you know, the first day that we saw him, I was like, the first thing I say, God, give me a lot of patience and try to figure out how we can work with our friend.
After a quick huddle with Miss Bermeo, Miss Alvarado reminded her that as long as they work together, it will be a good day. She repeated her mantra.
We had to be persistent, consistent, and give them a lot of love. I remember there was one day that during center time, that one day I saw him like teaching the calendar. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
One of the classroom jobs, like being the coveted line leader or the door holder, is to be the teacher's helper during circle time. Even though it wasn't his job that day, Miss Alvarado saw her friend using Miss Bermeo's magic pointing finger and singing the days of the week.
So I said, wow, you did it. Okay, let's go, you know, kiss your brain. Oh, give a high five in there. Give me the power. So things like that make them feel more special and more excited to learn.
You know, every day as a teacher, it's very stressful with doing a lot of different assessments and everything and keeping up with everything. So at the end of the day, when you make a difference like that, I think that's the rewarding part about being a teacher.
Yeah, that is like a big gift for us. Because like receiving this message from the parents, say, wow, you really changed, you know, my daughter's life. That is my gift. Say, wow, everything that I did, even though it was very hard, but we did it. We did it together, and this is our gift. So everything we do here, we share.
Thanks for listening. Tiny Big Moments is produced by me and Clarissa Donnelly-DeRoven, with editing support from Shanika Gunaratna. A big thank you to Miss Maria Bermeo and Miss Lorena Alvarado for sharing their stories with us. To learn more about ParentCorps, visit our website, weareparentcorps.org. You can donate to support ParentCorps programming at the link in our description box.